"Who the hell are you?" Jackson croaked, his voice a ragged whisper against the beeping monitors, shoving weakly at the man's hand on his shoulder. The stranger, tall, impeccably suited even at 2 a.m., with storm-gray eyes that cracked like thunder, froze, his face crumpling as if Jackson had plunged a knife into his chest. The man, Alexander Harrington. Alex to the world that knew him as the ruthless tech mogul who'd built Harrington Dynamics from a garage startup to a Wall Street behemoth. Stumbled back a step, the diamond ring on his finger catching the fluorescent light like a cruel joke. "Jack, it's me, Alex, your fiancé. God, please, you have to remember." But Jackson didn't. The fog in his mind was thicker than the fog rolling off the Hudson that morning, erasing wedding plans whispered over candlelit dinners at Le Bernardin, lazy Sundays tangled in Egyptian cotton sheets in their Tribeca penthouse, and the quiet vow Alex had made under the Brooklyn Bridge at dawn. "You're my forever, Jack. No empire's worth building without you in it." Dr. Elena Vesquez, the neurologist with a noble shit Brooklyn accent and a clipboard thicker than a phone book, pulled Alex aside in the hallway that smelled of antiseptic and despair. "Amnesia like this post-traumatic retrograde, it's selective, Mr. Harrington. He remembers his name, bits of his childhood in that sleepy Ohio town, even his barista order at Blue Bottle. But the last 5 years? Wiped clean, like chapters ripped from a book." Alex gripped the wall, his knuckles whitening against the pale blue paint. 5 years. That's how long he'd loved Jackson Reed. Fiercely, obsessively, in a way that had thawed the ice around his billionaire heart. Jackson, the idealistic environmental lawyer who'd crashed into Alex's life at a gala for the Sierra Club, challenging him on his company's carbon footprint with those hazel eyes blazing like forest fires. They'd fought, fucked, fallen hard. Alex had proposed on a whim during a hike in the Adirondacks, dropping to one knee in the mud with a ring he'd carried for weeks, terrified she'd say no. He had said yes, and in that moment, Alex had believed in soulmates, in second chances for a man who'd lost his parents young and built walls higher than his skyscrapers. Now those walls were crumbling. "How do I fix this?" Alex demanded, his voice low and edged with the steel that had closed billion-dollar deals. "You don't fix it overnight," Dr. Vasquez said, her dark eyes softening. "Therapy, patience, triggers, photos, music, routines. But pushing too hard? It'll backfire. Give him space to rebuild." Space. The word tasted like ash. Alex had never given anyone space. He acquired, he conquered. But for Jackson, he'd learn. He had to. Back in the room, Jackson stared at the ceiling tiles, counting the specks like stars in a polluted sky. The man, Alex, sat in the corner chair, silent now, scrolling through his phone with trembling fingers. Jackson's head throbbed, a dull ache from the concussion that had stolen his life. Flashes teased the edges. Laughter echoing in a high-ceilinged loft, strong arms wrapping around him from behind in a kitchen that smelled of fresh espresso and ambition. But they dissolved like smoke. "You're staring," Jackson said finally, not unkindly. Curiosity flickered despite the fear gnawing at his gut. Alex looked up, those gray eyes raw. "Just making sure you're real. That this isn't some nightmare I'll wake from." Jackson shifted, wincing at the pull of 4 lines. "Look, man, I appreciate the concern. Whoever you are to me. But I need answers. Why do I feel like I've been gutted? And why are you looking at me like I'm the one who died?" Alex swallowed hard, pulling out his wallet. He slid a photo across the bed. The two of them on a yacht off the Hamptons, wind-tousled and grinning, Jackson's head on Alex's shoulder, a champagne flute dangling from lax fingers. "Because you almost did. Drunk driver, rainy night. You were coming home from a late deposition. Some big case against Big Oil. I was waiting with Thai takeout and that stupid rom-com you love." Jackson picked up the photo, his fingers tracing the edges. The man in the picture looked happy, loved. But the reflection in the hospital window showed a stranger's face, hollowed by loss. Us. We were engaged." Alex nodded, his voice cracking. 6 months ago. Weddings in April at the family estate in the Hudson Valley. Tulips everywhere. Because you said they remind you of spring in Ohio. A pang hit Jackson's chest, sharp as the crash he couldn't recall. "I'm sorry. I can't feel it. Not yet." "Not yet," Alex echoed, clinging to the words like a lifeline. He stood, leaning down to press a featherlight kiss to Jackson's forehead, chaste, reverent. I'll wait, as long as it takes. That night, as rain lashed the windows and the city throbbed below like a fever dream, Jackson dreamed of gray eyes and a hand in his, pulling him from darkness. He woke gasping, reaching for a ghost. The first week blurred into a haze of physical therapy sessions in the hospital's sun-drenched gym, where Jackson relearned the rhythm of his own body. Legs that had run marathons through Central Park, arms that had clung to Alex during thunderstorms that shook their penthouse windows. Alex was there every day, a constant shadow in tailored Tom Ford suits that clashed with the fluorescent purgatory. He'd bring coffee, black, 2 sugars, just how Jackson liked it or used to, and stories, pieced together like a puzzle Jackson couldn't solve. "Remember that time in Vegas?" Alex said one afternoon, perched on the edge of the therapy mat as Jackson gripped parallel bars, sweat beading on his brow. The room smelled of rubber and determination, a far cry from the boardrooms Alex dominated. "We got hitched by Elvis," jokingly, of course. "Woke up with matching tattoos, Hakuna Matata, on our ribs. Yours is a little crooked because you were laughing too hard." Jackson paused, gripping the bars tighter, a faint itch under his skin where ink should be. He lifted his shirt, revealing smooth, unmarred flesh. "No ink. Guess that's gone too." Alex's face fell, but he masked it with a wry smile, the one that had charmed investors from Silicon Valley to Shanghai. "Then we'll get new ones. Something better. Carpe diem in Latin, maybe. Seize the day." But seizing the day felt impossible when every touch from Alex sparked unease, like static before a storm. Jackson wanted to believe the photos helped, albums of Christmases in Aspen with fake snowmen and real eggnog, birthdays where Alex had rented out the entire Hayden Planetarium for a private star show. Yet doubt festered. Why couldn't he feel it? Was this man truly his love, or some opportunistic shark circling a vulnerable meal? Discharge day arrived like a parole hearing. Alex's black Escalade idled curbside, engine purring against the autumn chill that painted Central Park gold. Jackson slid into the leather seat, the city unfolding like a memory he almost grasped. Honking taxis, steam rising from manhole covers, the endless hustle that had once been his heartbeat. The penthouse loomed over Tribeca like a glass crown, all sleek lines and floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Hudson's moody flow. Alex had warned him, "It's us minimalist, but with your touches, that Godawful Warhol print you insisted on." Inside, it was a revelation. White marble floors gleamed under recessed lights, but Jackson's vintage record player spun Sinatra in the corner, and shelves groaned with dog-eared copies of The Great Gatsby and case files from pro bono work. A framed photo on the mantel showed them at Pride, rainbow flags whipping in the wind, Alex's arm possessive around Jackson's waist. "Nice digs," Jackson murmured, trailing fingers over the cool countertop. "You must be loaded." Alex chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Harrington Dynamics, AI for sustainable energy. Bought my first yacht at 25. But this," he gestured vaguely, "it's nothing without you." Dinner was takeout from Jackson's favorite, spicy pad thai from a hole in the wall on Mott Street, eaten cross-legged on the rug, a bottle of Napa Valley Cabernet breathing between them. Alex kept it light. Stories of boardroom battles, the time Jackson had schmoozed a senator at a fundraiser and saved a key environmental bill. Laughter came easier, tentative, like testing thin ice. But as the wine loosened tongues, the questions spilled. "Tell me about us," Jackson said, swirling his glass. "The real stuff, not the highlights reel." Alex leaned back, shadows playing across his chiseled features. "We met at that gala. You called me out, said my greenwashing was bullshit. I was pissed, intrigued. Took you to a dive bar in Hell's Kitchen afterward. We argued till closing, then, well," his gaze heated, remembering. "Your place. Dawn breaking over the skyline. You made pancakes, burnt ones, and I knew I was done for." Jackson's pulse quickened, a ghost of heat low in his belly. "And the proposal?" "Adirondacks. Rain turning to sleet. I babbled like an idiot. You're the only real thing in my fake-ass world. Slid the ring on your finger with shaking hands. You said yes, then dragged me into the tent for celebratory sex that nearly gave me hypothermia." The image flickered. Mud-slicked skin, Alex's mouth hot against his throat, and Jackson's breath hitched. He leaned in, drawn by an invisible thread, their lips brushing in a kiss that was soft, exploratory. Alex tasted like wine and want, his hand cupping Jackson's jaw with aching tenderness. But Jackson pulled back, heart hammering. I can't. Not like this. It feels wrong. Like cheating on a ghost. Alex's eyes shuddered, pain flashing raw. I'm not a ghost, Jack. I'm right here, fighting for us. That night, Jackson lay awake in their king-sized bed, the sheets scented with Alex's cologne. Sandalwood and citrus, a scent that tugged at buried longing. Across the hall, Alex crashed on the guest room couch, scrolling through old texts. Miss you already, babe. Hurry home. Sent just hours before the crash. By week 2, routine settled like dust. Jackson dove into therapy. Dr. Marcus Hale, a silver-haired shrink with a corner office overlooking Bryant Park, who specialized in trauma and queer couples. Amnesia's not just loss, Hale said over steaming mugs of Earl Grey. It's a chance to rebuild without baggage. But trust? That's the minefield. Alex threw himself into work, but cracks showed. Late nights at the office stretched, excuses piling up, investor calls from Tokyo. Jackson noticed the shadows under his eyes, the way Alex's hand lingered too long on goodbye kisses at the door. Then came the visitor. A knock echoed through the penthouse one crisp October morning as Jackson nursed a latte, flipping through case files from his old firm, Green Horizon Legal, where he championed indigenous land rights. Alex was at a meeting. The man at the door was broad-shouldered, with a jaw like carved granite and eyes the color of aged whiskey. Ethan Caldwell, he said, extending a hand rough from construction sites. Old friend. Heard about the accident. Thought I'd check in. Jackson ushered him in, unease prickling. Ethan's presence filled the space. Faded jeans. A flannel shirt rolled to elbows tattooed with tribal patterns. He moved like he owned the room, dropping onto the couch with easy grace. Alex treating you right? Ethan asked, voice gravelly, laced with something sharper than concern. Jackson shrugged, sinking into the armchair. Trying. Complicated. Ethan leaned forward, elbows on knees. Yeah, well, Alex always complicates shit. Listen, Jack, you and me, we go way back. Before him, his gaze intensified, a spark igniting. Remember that summer in the Catskills? Cabin by the lake, just us and a six-pack. Fireflies, skinny dipping till sunrise. A jolt, water cold against skin, laughter echoing, hands exploring in the dark. Jackson's mouth went dry. Flashes, but it's fuzzy. Ethan's smile was wolfish, predatory. That's us, real, not some penthouse fairy tale. He stood, closing the distance, his hand brushing Jackson's knee, electric, forbidden. If you need an anchor, I'm here. Always have been. The door buzzed, Alex home early. Ethan slipped out the fire escape with a wink, leaving Jackson reeling, pulse thundering with echoes of a past that felt alive. Thanksgiving loomed like a storm cloud over the Hudson, the city decked in prematurely twinkling lights that mocked the fracture in their home. Alex planned it meticulously. A small gathering at the penthouse. His sister Lila, a sharp-tongued gallery owner from Soho, and her wife, plus a catered spread from Jean Georges with turkey that wouldn't touch his vegan lips. Traditions ground us, Alex said, basting the bird with herbs while Jackson chopped Brussels sprouts, the kitchen a battlefield of domesticity. But ground was shifting sand. Ethan's visits became a secret rhythm, texts pinging Jackson's phone during Alex's endless conference calls. Coffee? Neutral ground. No pressure. They met at a nondescript cafe in the village, where cobblestone streets whispered of bohemian ghosts. Ethan spun tales of their youth. College parties at NYU where they'd shared a dorm bunk after one too many shots. Road trips down Route 66 in a beat-up Mustang. Stealing kisses under desert stars. Each story chipped at the wall, fragments assembling a mosaic of wild, unpolished love, raw, without the gloss of billion-dollar deals. You're remembering? Ethan murmured one afternoon, their knees brushing under the cafe table, steam rising from untouched espressos. Rain pattered the awning outside, blurring Washington Square Park into watercolor. I see it in your eyes. That fire. Jackson's throat tightened, shame and thrill warring. It's not fair to him, to Alex. Ethan's laugh was bitter, edged. Fair? He swooped in like a vulture, Jack. Took you from the trenches, Your firm was drowning in debt. Remember? He invested. Strings attached. Made you his pretty little crusader, parading you at galas while he drilled for oil under green labels. The words landed like shrapnel. Jackson had glimpsed emails on Alex's laptop. Contracts with shady offshore firms. Whispers of lobbying against the very bills he'd fought for. He wouldn't. Would. And does. Ethan's hand covered his warm, calloused. Come away with me. My crew's got a job in Portland, green builds, real shit. No empires, just us. Temptation coiled like smoke. That night, at the Thanksgiving table, laughter rang hollow. Lila raised a glass. To second chances and hot doctors who fix our messes. Alex's smile strained as he clinked. His foot nudging Jackson's under the table. A silent plea. Later, washing dishes side by side, suds bubbling like unspoken fears, Jackson cracked. Who's Ethan Caldwell to me? Alex's sponge stilled, water dripping. An ex-toxic one. Dated in college. Fought like hell, fucked like it too. He bailed when things got real, left you gutted. Why? Just. Saw his name in an old contact. Lie tasted sour. Alex turned, drying his hands, vulnerability stripping him bare. Jack, whatever ghosts you're chasing, don't. We built this. You built me. He pulled Jackson close, foreheads touching, breath mingling. I love you. Every stubborn, brilliant inch. The kiss ignited, desperate, reclaiming. Jackson melted into it, hands fisting Alex's sweater, chasing the spark Ethan couldn't touch. They stumbled to the bedroom, shedding clothes like skins, bodies remembering what minds forgot. Alex moved with worshipful slowness, mapping scars from the crash, whispering litanies against heated flesh. Mine. Always. Jackson arched, cries echoing off glass walls, climax crashing like waves on Fire Island shores they'd once claimed. After, tangled in sheets, Alex traced Jackson's ring finger. Marry me again? When you're ready. Make it stick. Jackson's chest ached, love flickering amid the fog. I want to. But dawn brought Ethan's text. Saw the lies in his eyes tonight. Proof attached. A photo. Alex shaking hands with oil execs at a private club, time-stamped weeks ago. Smiling, complicit. Betrayal bloomed, cold and vicious. Jackson dressed quietly, slipping out while Alex slept, the city awakening to another gray November day. He found Ethan at a construction site in Brooklyn, girders rising against the skyline like skeletal ambitions. Dust motes danced in the winter light slanting through chain link. Show me everything, Jackson demanded, voice steel. Ethan nodded, pulling up files on his truck's laptop. Leaked docs, whistleblower tips from inside Harrington Dynamics. Alex's sustainable AI? A front for algorithms optimizing fracking routes, buried under PR spin. Jackson's own cases? Undermined by backroom deals Alex had greenlit to protect their future. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Jackson whispered, world tilting. Thought you knew. Loved him anyway. Ethan's arm slung around his shoulders, solid. But now? You see. Rage simmered, but beneath it, grief. For the man who'd held him through nightmares, who'd proposed in the rain. Jackson fled to Central Park, crunching leaves underfoot, the reservoir a mirror to his fractured soul. He called Alex, voice breaking. We need to talk. The confrontation erupted in the penthouse that evening, skyline bleeding orange as sunset bled wounds. Alex arrived windswept from a helicopter pad. Ty Askew. Jack, what's? You're poisoning the world I fight for. Jackson hurled the laptop across the coffee table, docs spilling like confetti of deceit. Ethan showed me. The fracking, the lies. How could you? Alex paled, collapsing onto the sofa. It's not God, Jack, it's complicated. The board pushed investors. I was buying time to pivot clean. For us, a nest egg for the life you wanted, kids, maybe adoption, a house in the Berkshires. Lies. Jackson roared, tears hot. You used me, my passion, twisted into your empire's shield. Alex surged up, gripping Jackson's arms. I love you. Every choice, twisted or not, was to keep you safe. After your folks died, you said you needed stability. I gave it. Stability built on bones? Jackson wrenched free, backing toward the door. I can't. I won't. Jack. Please. Alex's voice shattered, the unbreakable mogul crumbling. Don't leave me twice. But Jackson fled into the night, subway rumbling like his pulse, emerging in Brooklyn's shadowed streets. Ethan's loft waited, cozy, cluttered with blueprints and beer caps, a far cry from marble opulence. They fell into bed, urgent and angry, Ethan's touch rougher, reclaiming what time had stolen. This is real, Ethan growled against his neck, body slick and fervent. Yet as Jackson stared at the cracked ceiling fan whirring like accusations, doubt crept. Ethan's snores rumbled steady, but the dreams came. Alex's gray eyes, soft in starlight, whispering forever. December's chill bit deep, wrapping Manhattan in a crystalline shroud as Jackson navigated the limbo of half-remembered lives. He crashed at Ethan's, the loft a temporary harbor amid the storm. Exposed brick walls adorned with Polaroids of their younger selves. A queen bed that creaked under the weight of rediscovery. Mornings blurred into lazy explorations. Ethan's mouth charting territories with the familiarity of old maps. Hands rough from rebar and resolve, drawing gasps that echoed off the high ceilings. See, Ethan murmured post-climax, fingers tracing Jackson's spine. This is home. But home felt adrift. Jackson returned to Green Horizon part-time, poring over depositions in a cubicle that smelled of recycled air and resolve. Colleagues clapped his back. Miracle you're upright, read. But whispers followed. Harrington's boy toy, back from the brink. The irony stung. He'd fought for truth, yet his own was obscured. Alex's texts arrived like clockwork. Coffee? Neutral. Miss your laugh in the shower. I'm pivoting full divestment. For you. Jackson deleted them unread. But each ping carved deeper. A Morse code of regret. The high tide of conflict crested at the firm's holiday party. A rented ballroom in Midtown aglow with fairy lights and forced cheer. Jackson arrived on Ethan's arm, flannel-clad and defiant, nursing a gin and tonic amid chattering lawyers. Ethan charmed the room, his construction firm partnering on eco-builds, a bridge to Jackson's world. But tension hummed like live wire. Then Alex entered, a vision in midnight wool, silver cufflinks glinting like stars. Conversations hushed. The mogul rarely slummed it. His eyes found Jackson's across the throng, raw hunger laced with sorrow. Jack. Ethan's grip tightened. Harrington. A beat electric. Alex extended a hand, diplomatic, deadly. Ethan. Good to see you. Contributing. Saving what you nearly wrecked. Ethan shot back, smile feral. Jackson stepped between, heart fracturing. Not here. But here it came, spilling into the coat check alcove, coats muffling shouts like confessions. You think this is salvation? Alex hissed at Ethan, gray eyes storm-lashed. Stealing him when he's lost? I built a life, fought for it. Ethan laughed, low. Bought it, you mean, with dirty money and dirtier lies. Enough! Jackson exploded, shoving them apart. Coats tumbled, a wool avalanche. This isn't a pissing contest. It's me. He whirled on Alex. You betrayed my soul. For stocks? And you? To Ethan, voice cracking. Knew all along. Used my amnesia like a wedge. Silence fell heavy as snow. Alex's face crumpled. Jack, No. Both of you out. Jackson stormed into the night, flurries stinging his cheeks, hailing a cab to nowhere. The driver, a grizzled vet with a Yankees cap, glanced back. Rough night, kid. Every night. Jackson's reflection in the window was a stranger's, haunted, hollow. He ended up at Dr. Hale's after hours, the office a sanctuary of leather chairs and low lamplight. Betrayal's a thief, Hale said, steepled fingers wise. Steals the narrative. But you're the author now. Words unlocked the flood. Flashes coalescing. Alex's proposal, rain-slicked and real. Ethan's summer, passionate but fleeting. The crash, tires screaming, Alex's voice on the phone. Hurry home, love. Memory surged, tidal, drowning doubt. The accident hadn't erased love. It had stripped it bare, forcing reckoning. Dawn found Jackson at the penthouse door, key trembling in lock. Alex answered in rumpled sweats, hair awry, eyes bloodshot from vigil. Jack. Inside, They talked. Hours bleeding into coffee refills, truths laid raw. Alex confessed. The deals, the pressure, the pivot underway. Full transparency, board ousted, assets redirected to clean tech. I was scared of losing you to the fight, but losing you to lies? Worse. Jackson's hand found his. I remember now, all of it. The good, the ugly. And, forgive? Maybe. But change, real change. For us. Alex nodded, tears carving tracks. Swear it. They made love then. Slow, redemptive. Bodies a language of amends. Whispers weaving promises. No empires, just heartbeats sinking in the quiet. Ethan's call came at noon, voice edged. Heard you're back in the castle. Not back. Rebuilding. Jackson paused, grace extending. Thanks for the anchor. But my sea's with him. A beat. Lucky bastard. Take care, Jack. Winter thawed into spring. The Hudson Valley estate blooming tulips like forgotten vows. April sun gilded the aisle as Jackson walked it. Alex waiting in linen suit, gray eyes shining. Vows echoed. In amnesia and clarity, I choose you. No billion-dollar fanfare. Just family, friends, Lila's toast. To loves that weather wrecks. Rings exchanged, simple platinum bands etched with carpe amorem. Seize the love. As they danced under string lights, Jackson leaned in. No more strangers. Alex's smile, true north. Never again. In the city of dreams deferred and reclaimed, they forged ahead, not perfect, but human, passionate, whole.